Okay, your thoughts.
Okay, so I'm not gonna go into like grave detail about my week, but I am going to discuss a couple of things about gastric bypass that I think are vague misconceptions to people. Like I just got done eating about 10 minutes ago, and it took me about an hour and 20 minutes to eat a half cup of food, and that is to me excessive. To eat a half cup of food takes an hour and 20 minutes, but I've been having some problems lately with food the last 2 weeks. I've been having vomiting and not being able to consume food. And it's been making me really depressed. Because one, I used food a long time ago to deal with depression. And now that I wasn't able to do that, just a little bit of food I ate was kind of a comfort to me. And then not being able to eat it at all, and every time I ate it was making me sick, I was getting really depressed about it. And I was having a really hard time consuming what I needed to consume just to be healthy and functioning. So on Sunday, it's the only day I'm really going to talk specifically about. Sunday and the morning on Monday. But Sunday night, I made meatloaf, which is made of turkey meat, and I can have turkey meat because it's not red meat. They don't recommend red meat after gastric bypass for 6 months or more. So I made it a turkey meat, and I figured I could eat it because I've had my meatloaf since gastric bypass, and I haven't had any issues with it. So I had my meatloaf and green beans. And after about a couple bites of meatloaf, I started feeling a feeling, which when you feel that feeling after gastric bypass, that's like a warning to stop eating right now. Because you're going to start, it's going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and you're going to start kind of having dry heaves, and then eventually you vomit. So I stopped eating because I didn't want to vomit. And the feeling would not go away. It just kept coming and coming and coming. So finally I'm like, I'm going to try to take a shower. I'm just going to try to shake this off. Because I hadn't ate lunch that day because halfway through lunch I got sick too. So I take a shower and I end up throwing up in the shower. And I mean, I guess it was a good thing I was in the shower. But it was still terrible because it hurt. But it was more depressing to me than painful. Because I have barely ate anything in 2 days at this point. So I feel like I'm starving, but I can't eat. So then that night when I laid down, I was very shaky. And I mean very shaky. And I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel right at all. And I fell asleep, and the next morning I get up and I am just a mess. Like, my hair is coming out in handfuls. My face is withdrawn, pale. I have big dark eyes, bags under my eyes. I mean, worse they are now because I am tired a lot. But
Yeah.
but they were. I mean, I looked sick, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what am I gonna do? So I just go about my morning. I plaster makeup on, trying to cover up the nastiness. I make myself a half English muffin with a little bit of peanut butter, and I grab 4 grapes. And I head out the door and I head to school. Well, after about 3 bites of the English muffin, starts happening again. So I just stopped eating. And I get to school and it's doing that grr, 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 grr. And I had to sit out in the parking lot because I didn't go to school, sorry, it was my internship. It was so loud, like you could actually hear it, that I couldn't go into my internship with it doing that. And there were a couple of times where I thought I was going to get sick. So I had to wait out in my car for 20 minutes for it to pass. And then once it passed, I went into my internship. And then that day I came home from school and decided I'm going to try to eat again. I almost talked myself out of it, which isn't good because I still need to eat. So I made myself a turkey salad. And I only made a fourth a cup of food because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to eat it. And I sat down, and it took me an hour to eat that fourth cup of food, but I was able to eat it with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good.
Yeah. So after that, I decided that I'm just going to have to take my time eating, like, extreme. I'm supposed to take my time anyway, but they said to give yourself at least a half an hour to eat your food. So I thought a half an hour, that's more than enough time. Well, apparently I need more than a half an hour, and I need to eat smaller than baby spice. They tell you to eat with, like, children's spoons. This is what I eat. These are the sizes of my bites. I had to cut those in half. That's what I had to do. So that's what I did, and I was able to start eating again food and not feeling super sick afterwards. So that was an eye-opener to me because up until this point, I really hadn't had any problems since my surgery, so all of a sudden I'm puking here, I'm puking there. And I'm like, why is it suddenly happening 2 months after the fact when they tell you if you're going to have any issues, it's generally in the first 2 weeks after surgery that you'll see these repercussional issues with food. So that was an eye-opener for me. And I got on YouTube to see if other people had these issues. Because, tons of people put stuff about gastric bypass on YouTube. Oh, look at me, I went from 500 pounds to 120 pounds, So one guy, there are 2 videos that I watched. Well, I watched more than 2, but these 2 videos I watched made me just made my jaw drop, because I can't really explain it, like the stupidity, I guess. One guy showed what he ate in one day, and he is a 3-month gastric bypass. Like, it had been 3 months since he had gastric bypass. And the amount of food that this man was eating after 3 months of gastric bypass, I still can't wrap my head around it. Like, he showed his breakfast, and for his breakfast, he had 1 egg, 1 piece of toast, 1 whole toast, like it wasn't a half a toast, it was a whole piece of toast, 2 sausage links, and a half of a tomato. That's crazy to me. That's a crazy amount of food. On my chart, actually, hold on 1 second, and I'll get it up.
Well, while she's getting her chart, it's been pretty interesting lately, though, with the weight loss. I've been keeping track of it. She's lost a lot of weight. She's looking damn good.
Okay, this is the little weight loss chart that we get, and if you look here for week 7 to 6 months, this man was only 3 months. It says for breakfast, half of a hard-boiled egg, half a whole wheat toast. Can you even believe he ate that much food? And then he chopped it all up and mashed it into this big pile of nastiness and put syrup on top of it. How's that even possible?
But why would you even go through with the surgery if you were going to do that in the first place?
I don't know.
Just pretty much.
He was insane. And he talked about it like it was some big accomplishment. But I can't imagine what he was eating before gastric bypass.
My God.
But what I can't wrap my head around is how he was even able to eat it to begin with.
Right.
Because, like I just said, half a cup of food takes me an hour and 20 minutes to eat. This man is eating probably a cup and a half of food. And he's able to actually consume it, apparently with no issues. So, I don't know how he's even losing weight with gastric bypass, because gastric bypass does give you a smaller stomach, but all the weight that you've retained prior to that doesn't just come off because of that. It just means that your food gets digested differently. And you can still stretch that pouch out. And for only being 3 months after gastric bypass, how he can eat that much food, I have no clue. No clue whatsoever how it's even possible. And then they show him drinking like this 64 ounce of iced tea from Starbucks. There's way too much sugar. I don't even know how he drinks that. And then for his lunch, he had a turkey roll-up with cheese in it on a tortilla shell, white flour tortilla shell, and he had macaroni salad. There's a lot of starch, exactly, and you're not even supposed to be getting more than 2 tablespoons of starch a day. For lunch, you're supposed to have 2 tablespoons chicken, 2 tablespoons protein, 1 ounce fruit, which is basically 2 tablespoons fruit, and then 1 ounce of vegetable, which is basically 2 tablespoons of vegetable. Like their suggestion on here is chicken, fruit cocktail, and spinach. He didn't have no vegetable, and he didn't have any fruit. He had protein times 2. And then his dinner was chili. Was a big bowl of chili. I don't know how he does it.
Mm-hmm.
I know men's bodies are different from women, but gastric bypass is still gastric bypass. So, I know. So, I just don't understand it, but come back and join us for segment 6, and we'll talk some more about it.